guys, and welcome to the first moth reference pack tutorial. So, just a quick tip before starting the actual tutorial. I'm just very fast. On the Patreon, I really recommend you guys to go to the collections tab. And in the collections tab, you will be able to find all future content very quickly. Because the homepage in Patreon is very messy and things can get lost very easily. Okay, so right here you will see a collection for photo reference packs. If you go back to the collections tab, you also have a tab or a collection for the photo reference tutorials. When you enter these collections, you will be able to see what of the material that is available to you depending on your subscription, right? So right here, as I'm logged into a bronze member, I can only find things for the bronze membership. And just another quick tip, go to the download links in each photo reference pack to download the actual high quality images, because the ones that are on Patreon are just low res previews, okay? So getting that out of the way, let's start with the actual tutorial. So right here in Photoshop, I just loaded one of the images of the collection. So basically it's this dead moth photo, and I just start very quickly with a round Photoshop brush, starting to sketch something similar to the composition I am looking, right? So this is just one way of using the reference pack. So remember, you do not have to know how to draw. You just need to know how to express yourself. I'm not doing a great sketch or drawing in this canvas. The only thing is I just want to translate something that I'm thinking in my head to a visual medium. Remember this thing that is going on around in social media. Just make it exist first, and then you could make it better later. So I'm just starting to sketch out the figure. I imagined like a MOTHMAN creature, like it has these human features, but it also has some of the moth's features, and I'm referencing a lot and learning from the actual reference photo. As you can see, I take a lot of details that I am observing into our picture and then translating them to my sketch. Nowadays, it's really hard to see and observate and analyze something for more than 20 seconds, right? So I recommend you to really analyze and observe the picture you're going to work from, and really be honest with yourself and see what stuff do you think you already knew about a moth in this case, and what stuff is more interesting to you, and see why it is, and really analyze the image. So after I finish this quick sketch, I can refine it later. A really good method is just to put it into ChatGPT, right? As a default, if I just type make a MOTHMAN in ChatGPT, it will give me something horrible, right? And of course I can make it better via better prompting, but at the end of the day, it's not really original what you create over there. So I'm going to upload this original sketch and tell ChatGPT to refine. Okay, so while that's taking its time, I'll just show you a quick another method of using these reference packs. You can just very quickly remove the background and start playing with the warp tool. I really like to use the warp tool to design based on photos, reference photos, and I just start playing around and seeing what I can translate from what the idea I have in my head, but also combining it with deforming the images, right? So very good. I'm just changing shapes and making this flying creature, which is less humanoid. I went more monster with this one. And you can see it's very very fast to bring ideas to life when you're using this method. I really like it. And also, you have to keep in mind, you're doing concepting, right? So, right out, I do not want nothing very refined, because the way I'm going to refine and finalize the concept is on ZBRUSH. Right here you can see I already took the refined image that ChatGPT gave me, and I painted a little bit more over it, always keeping in mind my reference photo. I'm adding the lights where I see in my picture. I'm adding shadows, I'm adding details, referencing always what I'm learning from the real world, right? Nature is the best creature designer. So I keep painting, I keep learning, and I keep developing my concept. As you can see, you don't need to be a very good painter or artist in order to do this method, because the only thing you're doing is translating ideas into images, right? And the way you can be better at this is my edge. So time and hours of sketching and sculpting will always be necessary in order for you to do art without having to go to the trouble of not being able to control your hands and not being able to have this skill you need in order to translate visual ideas, right? So after I quickly grab a lot of parts from the generated image, I paint on top, like I was saying. And at this point, I am not afraid of removing and adding and playing with shapes. This really helps, even if you are not really good at painting, because you can grab and you can clone values that the generated image has given you, right? So here you can see the other concept is also refined, but I'm going to stick with this one and just add final details like fur and light and etc., right? And now I'm going to take it to ZBRUSH. So when I'm thinking and doing this in ZBRUSH, I just start with a basic sphere. I love this method. This is how I would actually sculpt if I was working on a traditional medium like clay. I just need to pull, push, and pull, right? So push and pull all the time with the move tool, with masking, and a little bit of the clay builder brush. I really love this brush because I can sculpt easily in the direct direction of the shapes. So the first thing is just generating a basically what it would be a base mesh. So I want all of the features of the concept to be ready for me to sculpt on top and refine in the digital sculpt. So my first task is to be very quick and be very loose to sculpt everything I need in the 2D concept. So I'm working with Dynamesh. I'm being very fast at this point. I'm just masking, I'm pulling out shapes and having a basic structure that follows more or less the proportions of the image of the concept. And refinement will come after this. So once I am ready to start refining shapes, I will go by parts. Okay, I will section it. So right here, I finish what it is, the base structure of the complete model of the complete creature, and then I will work separately on each part to make sure I'm thinking and I'm concentrating on that part. Okay, so I work on the head. This time I work on symmetry. Remember, back when we were doing the body, working with asymmetry, meaning do not work with symmetry at all, makes you be able to do something way more dynamic. So and because of this, your work becomes more original and more natural. So, but when I work on the head like this, I also like to save time, right? So, as I see the concept is very symmetrical, I work on the head, in the base of the head, and define all of the features of the head and face with symmetry. So this will allow me to be very fast and still keeping in mind I'm doing a constant sculpture. I'm developing an idea further in 3D, because even though I'm taking a lot of elements of my 2D concept, I am also adding more elements from the reference image, like you see the ears, like the spiral ears that I took the shape from the original photography, right? Remember, work fast, work on a low resolution in Dynamesh, and don't hesitate, don't be afraid of experimenting. Like for example, right here I added the insect round eyes that I originally thought in the 2D concept, but then later I get more ideas. Like I think that maybe it would look more creepy if the eyes are not anymore visible in the head, right? So I will go and remove the eyes. I will make the head larger, like I'm doing right now. Also, once I get to a point that I like and that I think I have a base structure of the head, I go back to removing the symmetry, because remember, these will make me have more natural results and have a more organic and dynamic sculpture. So I go back and put the head in the place that it would be, and then I start sculpting back again with a really big brushes and really fast strokes. I can help my sculpture become more interesting. So I'm adding sections, and I'm also keeping in mind that I am always looking at my reference image, and I'm always looking at what parts of the image make this thing really interesting, and I play with them and I change them in order to fit my monster idea. Okay, so just a very quick note. Most of the creatures that I do and that you will see in this channel are basically on the aesthetic of body horror. I love body horror. Body horror for me has been something that has impacted me since the really old school horror movies and the iconic creatures of body horror, like The Thing, or the Fleeing the Flying, and many more, right? So, but this doesn't mean that you have to do the same, or that only the reference images I'm providing can be used for body horror. They can be used for fantasy. They can be used for creature, for stylized creatures, or even for environment art, right? So feel free to go ahead and use them for your own personality. Remember, the thing that's going to make your art unique is that it's based on yourself, because that's what makes everything original in art. Just work and do art that you love, that you have passion for. Don't do it because you think is the thing that's going to get you more likes, or that is the thing that will get you more money. At the end of the day, when it comes to pure art, you need to make this stuff and the things that you are really passionate for, right? So going back to the sculpture, I don't perfect out the eyes because I want this to be more creepy, and I want it to read faster and very teary that it's a dead corpse of a once living creature, right? So I'm adding more details, I'm sculpting shapes. Always remember to sculpt in the direction of the form, right? We can make, in the future, I'm going to make more structured and more details tutorials on how to sculpt forms and the kinds and the types of forms that we usually use in organic sculpting, right? So after I'm finished with this, I start doing an overall pass on removing this symmetry. Even though I worked half symmetry and half without symmetry, I do a third pass that I really work on removing completely the symmetry. Even though, of course, faces are symmetrical, I'm talking more about specific shapes and specific adding gravity and adding wrinkles that will be taking us out of the generic CG look. So I'm very quickly doing these strokes that are very natural. So I do not think the stroke, I do not go and refine the strokes and the brushes. Very much, I just go and leave them as they are because I want a very organic feel to my overall sculpture, mostly when I'm working on concept sculptures, right? So remember also to be constantly rotating your model and constantly going through all of the parts of my sculpture. As you can see, I jump from sculpting the eyes, sculpting the top of the head, sculpting the back of the hair, sculpting the neck, because this helps you to basically finish. Because if you just get stuck into one small part of the creature, of their sculpture, you will get burned out. And when you finish and you have that perfect shape, you will have less energy and you will look at everything that is still remaining, and you won't want to keep going because you're gonna immediately think in all of the time that remains for you to finish that sculpture. So that's something you want to get away from, and it's tricky because like I said before, and you saw, I sectioned the head and I started working on the head, which you would think contradicts my point that I just said, but you have to be very precise on how you spend your time and how you split the parts of your model. So that's why it's very important to first do a first take on the complete model, like I did in the first part of the sculpting, and then you cut that model in the main form, in the main parts that compose that body, right? Head, torso, arms, legs, wings. You know, it depends on the kind of creature you're doing. And then once you slide that out, you can start now refining each part of it. That's how I work, and that's how I find myself to be able to complete more projects. Because back when I was doing everything at once, or back when I was doing not stopping in one part until it was perfect. I wasn't completing as much projects as I am now with this method, right? As you can see, since I do not care about iterating at this point, and that's why my 2D concept wasn't fighting, and I knew it. I just wanted to get an idea, because I know that I'm really creative in 3D. I like to iterate in 3D. I like making and inventing shapes in 3D. So, having the base is just the beginning right now. As you saw when I took out this like snogged thing out of the head, I am having fun. This is one of the stages of creature design via 3D and ZBRUSH that I am the most happy most of the time, and I'm having fun because at this part I don't care about nothing. I just care about creating beautiful, harmonic, organic shapes that are interesting to the viewer, that are natural and add up to the creature. And that stuff is really challenging for me also, but it's really satisfying when I look at the creature at the end and I see how I managed to make a lot of organic shapes, a lot of bluffs, a lot of hard surfaces, connect and compose a final creature, right? That for me is very satisfying and one of my favorite things to do in sculpting. So I invite you to find what you love doing. Find the thing that brings you the satisfaction when you finish and you present your work. And then you will be an artist that can express something you love doing in a visual medium, and you can make a lot of arts this way because you're always doing what you love doing, right? So the big picture is I love doing art, right? So I'm going to enjoy doing art. Not necessary. If you don't go further and deeper into that thought, then you might get halfway stuck and you might get burned out easily, right? So once at this stage, I do very quick details, like you saw, like adding veins, but I do not spend a lot of time in that. That's very quick, just to get an idea of the different materials that compose the form. And then very quickly I add up painting. This is poly painting in ZBRUSH. I just add really quick shadows and highlights to enhance my sculpture, right? Because even if I do a play pass or a gray render, I always like to help my sculpture and enhance it with painted detail. So this really helps in presenting your art to the audience. And a very quick way to do it is quickly brushes, quickly soft body paint brushes, then masking right here, like masked by keratin, masked by smoothness, masked by curvature, and then playing with the lights, adding a ring light. And after this, we can export it, and just very quickly in Photoshop, I can really do a quick exposure and value change and add some filters. This is the Nick collection, Nick FX collection. I really recommend it, guys. You have a lot of preset of filters. I play with 2 or 3, and then I blend them in Photoshop to generate an image that really pokes out all of the detail and all of the hard work I did inside of ZBRUSH. So this is just a quick way you can use the reference pictures. You can expect a second part of this tutorial where I'm going to do the rest of the body. Okay, so thank you for watching all the way through this part of the video. Remember, be creative and always think about the beautiful forms you love around. of the world that surrounds you, of the natural world, and build up your visual library. Let yourself be amazed of the creatures, of the animals, of the shapes around you. Take a time to give 5 minutes of looking at a rock, of looking at an animal, of looking at moss, of looking at ground, soil, and see how the shapes connect, and see how organic stuff generally is built up in the natural world. Because I believe the best art out there and the best way of us creating art is to reinterpret the real world through our eyes, through our mindset, through our taste, and build up amazing art. This way your art will be more ungrounded, but it will be original, and it will be very, very interesting and rich. Thank you for all of our friends and creature artists of the Criatura Art Club. I will see you in the next video.